YouTube. Pastor James, or Pastor JRC. JRC is my initial, so that's basically what it is. Pastor James was taken, so I just put Pastor JRC. Anyway, wanted to tell you guys about my Rapture Dream. And I'm telling you, man, times are getting more evil and more evil and more evil. People are just overlooking things and, see no evil, hear no evil. I think it's important now that we start talking about this rapture thing. I really do believe in the pre-trib. Done some research on mid, post. Doesn't really make sense to me. The one thing that really always pops in my head is that we're the body of Christ and we're His bride. Would you let your bride go through pain in the tribulation, go through problems, emotions, etc.? I just don't see that happening. The groom would not want to let his bride go through the tribulation. That's just Jamesology, take it for what you think it is. But anyway, on to the problem. I personally had a rapture dream about somewhere between 3 to 5 years ago. And I've never shared it on YouTube. I shared it with a couple of friends, and some people were wowed by it. Some people really didn't care. But I wanted to tell you about this dream, and hopefully it'll bless you, encourage you, give you some ideas as to what you can expect. So here goes. My father and I, my on-earth dad, we were rummaging through a building with the walls that were still up, but the roof was collapsed. We were looking for something, and I knew in my spirit we were looking for something to trade, something to barter with. As I was rummaging through these, not brick, but just mortar, just picking up one at a time under this pile of rubble, I found a metal box, kind of like a lunchbox, but it looked like it belonged in a business. So I picked it up and said, "Dad, come here, check this out." I opened the lid, and there are stacks of $100 bills, just thousands of dollars it looked like, maybe $5,000. I took the bills out and I threw them behind me. They didn't even faze me. And I was looking at the bottom, trying to see if I could get any change out of it, or some type of precious metals. That's what I was feeling like. I was looking for metal, something we could resell, something we could maybe melt down and resell. I don't know. The sky seemed to be, it was a sunny day, but it seemed to be kind of reddish skies. Don't know what that means. Reddish orange, kind of. I really felt like my father and I were out trying to help and support our family. Then I heard a noise. It was the sound of, the best I could describe, a loud, big, immense, intense shofar, a ram's horn. The sound, though, was it just shook the earth, right? And as we're rummaging through, I'm looking for change. Dad's kind of like looking through the rubble after I threw away all of those $100 bills. And the sound scared the living daylights out of my dad. My dad said, "Oh, what's that?" And he just started to run. And in my dream, I grabbed his arm and I said, "Dad, don't run." This is what I said. I said, "Dad, stay here. I know what this is. I heard this on YouTube." That's what I said. I knew the sound. I have done so much research on the apocalyptic sounds from heaven, all of the strange sounds that people are hearing in other places. I don't want to get too far off subject, but there's not really off subject, just kind of going off on a tangent about all these strange sounds. But there's been these really interesting sounds that people are recording. You can just type in strange sounds and see for yourself. They sound like furniture moving in heaven. It's really bizarre. Some people say that it's this little musical instrument from a foreign country where they play it and it sounds just like that. Who knows what it is? But in my rapture dream, I knew I heard it before. So out of all those sounds that I've heard in the hundreds and hundreds of videos that I've watched of the strange sounds coming from the heavens, apparently in my rapture dream, I've heard it through YouTube. So I'm always like, looking at YouTube and trying to find this stuff out. So the noise happens. My dad freaks. I grab his arm. I don't let go. He's pulling, trying to get away from me because he's so scared. He wants to run back home, wherever home was. In the dream, this was where we live currently. And during this dream, my parents didn't even live in my area. So what makes it even more bizarre is just recently, within the last 2 years, my parents moved over here. So, whoa, it's getting to be close. So, with that, I said, stop, I know what this is. And I knew right away that this is the beginning of the rapture. And I was all excited. I'm like, dude, this is really happening. I knew it. I saw it on YouTube. I know exactly what's going to happen. And I said, look. And we looked up in the sky. We saw this pinprick of a hole in the sky. And you could see it because there was these bright rays of light coming out of this little tiny hole. It was so tiny. But these lights were just coming out of it like you could not see it. I mean, it was just like, what is that? And the hole started to get bigger and bigger and bigger up until where it was like in the sky the size of a dime, like the size of the moon or the sun, as you look at it from standing on Earth and looking up at it. And from there, this white light came these beings coming down 2 by 2 in lines. And then they all started to kind of spread off. And as they're coming down in these lines, there's 1 and 2. They're standing next to each other. These beings were humongous. They were like 40 to 50 feet tall. They were bronze color. The best description I could come up with it is liquid chocolate. That was the color that they looked. They just were bright and just liquid chocolate. So these beings were coming for us. There were 2 of them. They were about 40, 50 feet tall. They were liquid chocolate, but they were all wearing like 3-piece suits, kind of, but not really. It's bizarre. They had hats on, like they kind of looked like zoot suits, but they weren't. I don't know what that means, the significance of it, but I knew that they were angels. I didn't see any wings or anything like that. It didn't look like any typical thing like that. But as these beings were coming down, they were reaching down to get us. I knew that those 2 beings that were coming down 2 by 2, they wanted to bring my dad and I to wherever they were going, which I believe was up. And the look on their faces as we're looking at them, they're huge, man. You were very intimidated by it. We were in the dream. But the look on their faces was total authority. Total authority. Like, don't mess with us. We know what we're doing. We are in charge right now. And you just instinctively just reached your hands up. You just knew it. There were no one around my dad and I. So we were in this old office building that was taken down. I don't know if it was, through World War III or nuclear weapons, bombs. I have no clue. But these things were coming down and getting us. So I was reaching up, and literally their pinky was about like this big. They were that big. They were just huge. And I'm reaching for them. I'm excited. I know it's God. I know it's the rapture. I knew that my dad and I were going to be raptured out of there. And then I woke up. I told my dad about this dream. And the dream really felt more real than any typical dream that I've had. I wouldn't say like 100% real, where it was like almost a vision, where I couldn't tell between dreaming or not dreaming. I knew it was a dream, but it's hard to explain, but it was better than a regular dream. It seemed to be more vivid, more colors. So with that in mind, I talked to my dad. I said, Dad, I had this rapture dream. I told him about it. And he had goosebumps, right? As anyone would expect if they heard something that they knew was familiar to their spirit. And my dad told me that he was prophesied over, that he would not leave this earth through death. He would be raptured. My dad is, I think, somewhere between 60 and 65 years old. And he's in good health and seems to be, and he believes that too. He really believes that he's going to be raptured out of here. So, at the last trump in the Bible, basically it says during the last trump, there's going to be some things happening, and it also talks about a trumpet. So it says trump and trumpet. I would do some research on Trump, the last days. I wouldn't say that he would necessarily be the Antichrist. I highly doubt it. I've seen more links on Obama and Bush and all the other past presidents being the Antichrist versus President Donald Trump. But I would definitely do some research on what's been happening in celestial events, all of the eclipses, the blood moons, the triad, whatever, I forgot what that's called. The blue moons, the big moons, the this, that moon. I mean, dude, it's been like crazy with all the events that are going on. And then there's now, right now, between now and 7 years, there is nothing going on. So I guess one of the YouTube people I was looking at, they were saying that this is the last Trump. So basically, this is the last time we're going to be prosperous before the beginning of the 7-year tribulation, which I think happens after Trump leaves office in 2024. I don't know. I can't tell you if that's real or not. But the rapture dream, my dad and I, we were raptured out of here. And we seemed to be in good health. In the dream, we didn't seem to be like malnourished or anything like that. It just seemed like we were smart enough to know how to scavenge and sell. I don't know. So whatever that means, I hope this blesses you guys. So there's my rapture dream. God bless. We'll talk soon. Bye.